Hello, my lovely Leos, my lions. Charismatic, powerful, charming, capable, strong. And this is your reading for the week of July 28th, or when you hear it and it resonates. And of course, it won't be for every Leo. Now, the song that I heard when I started this was an old song originally done by Bette Midler. And it's called You Got to Have Friends. So immediately I start thinking about this is about relationships for you. The thing that struck me is this. The very first verse is, and I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. Any problems have all gone. There is no one to deride me. So this, for me, that one phrase, it's basically, I'm all alone, but at least now there's no one to criticize me. But then this song goes on, but you got to have friends. The feeling's oh so strong. You got to have friends to make the day last long. I had some friends, but they're gone. Something came and took them away. And from the dusk till the dawn, here is where I'll stay. Standing at the end of the road, boys, waiting for some new friends to come. I won't go further than that because I think those are the key elements, is that sometimes it's easier to not have people too close to you, because then they're not going to see the parts of you that you're uncomfortable with, that you are perhaps unwilling to admit or acknowledge. That will come out if you're in a relationship with people and you get close. So that can lead in some ways, Leo, to the kind of situation where the friends that you have, or the relationships, not just the friends, but the relationships you have, can be very much all right as long as you're in control and as long as nobody is doing anything to make you feel insecure about yourself, embarrassed, ashamed, not accepted, in any way rejected or abandoned. Those things can bring out a quality of hurt in you that is really profound. And part of it is because your ego is so strong. Now, the thing about ego is we all have them and we all need them. It's not a bad thing. But the ego is developed within the root chakra, which is an earth chakra, and the polarity of emotions are fear and courage. The reality for all of us is when our ego becomes seriously challenged in some way, it's threatening, it's frightening. And if we haven't learned how to deal with that kind of insecurity, what can happen is our ego can become hyper enforced. And not just with Leos or with fire signs who have a tendency to have that, but with anybody who has in any way something that creates a fear reaction in their ego. One of the things we look for in energy medicine is, well, in my branch of energy medicine anyway, is when people present as having an extremely pronounced ego, where they're really filling up a room and taking over, and if not that, even just really, really adamant about who they are and who they should be, how they should be treated, that's often a sign of an insecurity. That this ego structure has become built up so much that it now becomes a wall. Now, it won't necessarily happen in all relationships for a person. It might happen in relation to this kind of, in respect to this kind of relationship, or an intimate one, or a friendship, or a work. It might show up more in those areas where you're more vulnerable, where you're more invested, okay? But what you're being told here, Leo, is you really are, it's going to sound so like blah, blah, of course, but you really are fantastic. You've got so many really wonderful qualities to share with the people around you and the world around you. And the thing is, what I feel you're being asked to do here is to really look at if loss in relationships has been a theme for you, and if you haven't gone back and really dealt with the grief and healed whatever was there, where you have just kind of put yourself above the person that you've had the problem with as a way of dealing with it, can you go back and can you use your deeper sense of who you are, your higher self? Can you be aware of the fact that you have another part of you that is bigger than this part that was wounded, that was hurt. Maybe you're feeling embarrassed or ashamed because you turned too quickly away from something, or because you didn't handle it well emotionally. Maybe you felt ashamed because somebody called you out on something or did something that didn't support your image. All of those things are possible. And again, Leo, they're possible for all of us. But this is what's coming up for you now within the context of this reading. Can you please choose to remember, whatever you've experienced from people around you, that God is head over heels in love with you? And when you embrace that, when you hold that awareness of the fact that you are divinely loved, does that soften some of the rough edges on your ego? Does that soften some of the walls and the barriers you've put up in a way where they can become boundaries, where you can take a chance on looking at some of those things in yourself that maybe have created some of the problems that you've henceforth just projected onto other people? Now, you're also being told this is a really good time. I know we're coming into Lionsgate, and it's a really powerful time for everybody, but especially for Leo. You're being really encouraged, Leo, with great love, to stand back and say, what is genuinely satisfying at a heart level to me about my relationships? What is genuinely satisfying to me? And what is not genuinely satisfying to me? You are now at a point where you can start creating new dynamics and new themes for your relationships in life. What qualities would you like to experience in yourself? How would you like to experience yourself in relation to people? Yes, okay, you want to be strong. You want to be confident. You want to be all these things. Can you also be compassionate? Can you be flexible? Can you be willing to learn? Even if it creates some insecurity, can you laugh and can you embrace those things in you before that you were not willing to admit or not willing to look at? Can you even just say, I just want to be happier, and I'd like a close community of like-minded people who are going to see me for who I am, who I'm going to feel safe being genuinely vulnerable with. I'm going to be willing to ask for help with things. I'm going to be willing to consult rather than dictate. So look at some of these different things, and then remember, every day is a new day. Start your day. Talk to yourself. How would you like to experience the day? How would you like to experience yourself in the day? And remember that God is head over heels in love with you. All of you, even the parts of you that you've kind of washed over and pushed down and not really wanted to look at. That can leave unresolved grief in your body. And we don't need unresolved grief. Unresolved grief is meant to be something that expands and opens you to deeper love. So if there's sadness, blame, resentment around a loss, it's very, very possible that there is unresolved grief around it too. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's easy just to push it away and not look at it. To just build a wall and say, not going to experience that again, not going to talk to you again, not going to do this again, not going to, because it opens you to a vulnerability. It opens all of us to a vulnerability of all of the deeper emotions that were swirling around in whatever that loss was. And that includes death of a loved one. So typically you go back, or part of the grief process is going back and replaying the nature of the relationship, different moments in time that held different qualities of emotion in that relationship. And that's all part of the grief process of integrating and understanding and growing from it. So Leo, I feel as though you're really being told, again, you've got the head over heels, God is head over heels in love, and you've got prayerfully. So I feel this is a really, really powerful time, Leos, for those of you who really want to be expanding your sense of who you are, your sense of genuine confidence and security and self-love and total self-acceptance of all of the parts of you. This is a beautiful time. Spirit is here telling you, you are loved. You can look at all of that. You can integrate that. You don't have to worry. You don't have to keep yourself isolated and tucked away from the very deepest parts of you. Okay? You're allowed to go there. You're encouraged to go there. You have the love and support to go there, Leo. I leave you with that. Take care.